Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to stick to Sweden and we are going to head to Småland in the southeast of the country, and we're revisiting a brewery who I've only ever made one review from before, and I'm very curious to see how this beer turns out. For this one then we are going to go to Kvarnagårdens Bryggeri for the second time, and we're having a taste of the Redig Pilsner today, which comes in at 5% ABV. So this one is the second beer I've had from them. The first beer I had was the Utvandarens or something like that it was called. It was an IPA, Utvandarens IPA or something like that it was called, which was quite nice. So I'm really curious to see how these guys do with a lager beer actually. As I've told you before, I'm a big fan of the lagers, the Helles Dunkels, Schwarzbiers and Doppelbox, and then of course you've got the Czech variants, the Svetli Lakes, that's Cherny and Tmavis. So this is a style of beer that I really quite like, but it's just a shame that it doesn't seem to get as much attention as the IPAs and things like that, because I think if you brewed lagers with some of these New World hops, you could produce something really quite nice, I reckon. But yeah, definitely curious to see how this one turns out. This one is 5% ABV, and it has German and Czech hop varieties in it, so it should be quite nice actually. Very curious to see what this beer has in store for us. It was released as part of the Lokalt och Småskaligt assortment in May of 2020 through its Systembolaget here in Sweden. So let's see how we get on. So as always with my reviews, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Kvarnagårdens Bryggeri before. No doubt you will see some more reviews from these guys at some point in the fairly near future. There's all the usual social media down there as well. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel of course has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlists of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Kvarnagårdens Bryggeri then, on to my brewery notes. So as I kind of mentioned earlier, Kvarnagårdens Bryggeri are based in a little town called Braås, which is to the north of Växjö in Småland, which is a kind of historic province, if you like, of Sweden. But the brewery was started back in 2014 by a group of 4 friends, although it's now run solely by Stefan Vade and Urban Benquist, who had homebrewed together for a number of years. The brewery is located in an old sawmill, and then in 2017 they brewed a total of around 15,000 litres. Both are working part-time at the brewery and they have their main jobs on the side. So Stefan has a background in biotechnology and civil engineering, and he works making glucose wheat syrup at the Lantmännen and Repa company, while Urban has a background in electrical and software engineering and currently works in business development at the Kronoberg plant. But over the next while they plan to expand the brewery. They have been working to expand it over the last while, and they said a while ago that one of their main goals was to get a bottling line, but I guess they've gone down the canning route. So yeah, they've obviously kind of installed a canning machine at the brewery, which is going to be good for them going forward actually. But yeah, as of May 2020, when I'm filming this review for you, they've produced apparently 70 different kinds of beer, which is pretty impressive. So yeah, was all the information I was really able to find on Kvarnagårdens Bryggeri. These guys are a very small brewery. I think it's difficult to find them actually in the Systembolaget shops outside of the kind of southeast of Sweden, probably just in Blekinge and in the sort of Kalmar and Öland areas you'll find these beers, but yeah, you can order them nationwide these days, so they must have increased their capacity quite a little bit to be able to send their beers across Sweden, because I think actually the last one that I got from these guys was one that I bought when I was over in Kalmar or in Karlskrona, I actually don't know. So yeah, interesting, as I say, to see these little breweries continuing to grow. So yeah, that's all I can tell you about Kvarnagårdens Bryggeri for the moment. If you want to learn more, of course, you can check out the brewery website. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on, and you can check out the Rate Beer, Untappd and Beer Advocate pages to learn more about all the different beers that they've done. So yeah, let's get on and actually have a look at this beer itself then. So as you can see, it's got some nice stones on the artwork there, and they talk about this on the back. It says that it basically says here, this is a Redig Pilsner from Småland's deep forests, where this, and it's basically saying that things have stood in the same place for hundreds of years. We've used the best grain varieties, the classic Sats hop, Pilsner malt, and some of the best, and pure water that's that has been filtered through Småland stones. The result is a hearty Pilsner with a very fresh basic quality, I guess you could say, that fits well to most, and it's very good for. I think it's saying that basically it's made ready for you to drink. Basically, I don't know what the last phrase in this one is, but yeah, it looks very, very nice. I do have to say I like the artwork on this one. Looks very, very good, and there you can see on the back there. This is the symbol, of course, for Kvarnagårdens Bryggeri. This stuff on the side of the can. It almost reminds me a little bit of the symbol of the Emperor of Japan. The chrysanthemum. A little bit. It reminds me of that. But yeah, really nicely presented, this one, and yeah, 5% ABV Pilsner. Can't really go wrong. So yeah, let's have a look at this one and see how we go. The Redig Pilsner at 5% ABV from Kvarnagårdens Bryggeri in Braås, Småland. So yeah, oh, you can smell those nice malts off this already. As I said, I felt that the lager beers are a style that are really quite underrated. I think, if you made some Pilsners and Helles and things like that with some of these New World hops, you could really be onto something, I think. A Nelson Sauvin or an Enigma hopped Pils. I know that in Munich, there's a brewery called Munich Brew Mafia, and you've seen me review this beer before if you've been watching the channel that long, the Don Limon, which is a Citra hop Pils, and it's a beautiful beer, that. It's absolutely lovely. So I wish more breweries would have a go at brewing the Pilsner beers with the New World hops. That would be awesome. But yeah, as you can see with this beer, and as you would expect from a Pilsner, it's poured a lovely pale golden straw colour. There's a little teeny bit of haziness to this one, but for the most part it is clear. It could just be the condensation on the glass, right enough, but it does seem to have a little bit hazy. It's a little bit of haze. It's obviously not been filtered, which is what you want because it gives you a bit more flavour. But you can see this beer has it had about a half finger of a frothy kind of bumpy white head. That's fading away just to be a very thin foamy layer. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, a few little ones going up towards the bottom of the head there, but overall it looks pretty good. The carbonation is actually quite visible in this one. I guess it's maybe due to the clarity of the beer, but you do expect a Pilsner beer to be a little bit more, carbonated, I guess you say. You do expect these beers to be nice and crisp. So it definitely looks the part for a Pilsner beer. Let's have a closer look at the aroma then and just see how we get on with this one. That actually does smell very, very authentic. Yeah. Straight away with this one, you get a little bit of that kind of bready malt. Straight away you can smell a little bit of that white bready character just forming the baseline of the beer. On top of that, you start to get the McVitie's digestive kind of biscuity qualities out of it. There's maybe a wee teeny hint of like a caramel or something in this. I guess maybe they've used a little bit of Carapils malt or something in here, because it does actually have quite a degree of sweetness to it. So yeah, nice and biscuity. And you can definitely smell, it's quite hard to describe, but you can definitely smell that kind of crisp quality that you get, that you expect of kind of straight up Pilsner malt. It just gives you this very kind of fresh aroma, actually. So yeah, this one is, the malt base in this one comes out really as you'd expect. A little bit of light kind of white bready qualities, some nice kind of McVitie's digestive type biscuits, maybe a little bit of a slightly richer caramel in there as well, maybe one or two very slightly woody undertones as well, which you can always quite often get. But yeah, the malt base in this one is not surprising at all. I mean, this is one of these beers, when it comes to lager beers, for me it's not about doing something out of the ordinary. I mean, and maybe that's a hypocritical statement to make, since I was talking about, putting all these American hops and things into them. But, when it comes to the malt base and the actual drinkability of these beers, it's all about authenticity, I think, in getting them as close to the German and Czech varieties as you can. So, yeah, it's a very, very nice aroma, this, and it really does come across as very authentic. The thing I think that always changes with beers that you brew in Sweden and Norway and even Scotland as well when they brew Pilsners, it's the water, I think, changes the mouthfeel of the beers a little bit. So I'm curious to see what the mouthfeel of this one's like. But yeah, the malt base is pretty much what you'd expect. On the hoppy side of things, you do get a little bit of that nice earthiness. It's quite a sweet earthiness, I find, that you get from both the Sats hops and the German noble hops, the Hallertaus and the Tittnangers. They give you this lovely, slightly sweet earthiness there. There's a teeny little bit of a herbal quality, but then you get the really nice, smooth, but quite bright floral qualities that you expect as well. And then, of course, on the front of the nose, I think it's definitely a bit more. It's definitely a little bit more grassy for me. On the fruity side of things, it is kind of what you'd expect. You've got a little bit of that lemony kind of zestiness that you get, you know, that kind of grassy ester. There's maybe a little bit of a kind of peary aroma to this one as well. I always find that most of these pilsners, they'll have a little bit of a peary. Sometimes you can even get a little teeny, like very slightly apricot note out of some of them. But yeah, the aroma, the fruity aroma, this one for me is mainly peary, and then you've got a little bit of that lemony, grassy type quality that comes out of this beer as well. But I mean, overall, this one, the aroma of this beer is very, very nice, and I like how it goes together. It does smell very, very authentic. It's got the typically everything that you would expect of you know, a German Pilsner or a Czech Pilsen beer. Of course, this whole style was developed by a German brewer who was in Pilsen in the Czech Republic, and that beer is now the famous Pilsner Urquell, which is one of my kind of go-tos. I always enjoy a bit of Pilsner Urquell, I have to say. I don't really drink outside of the videos, but yeah, Pilsner Urquell, I think you can never go wrong with that. But yeah, this one is the Redig Pilsner at 5% ABV from Kvarnagårdens Bryggeri in Braås to the north of Växjö in Småland here in the south of Sweden. Let's get stuck in. Slange, skål. I think that's nice, actually. Yeah. First thing I notice is the malt base is very... It's interesting, it comes in and it's very crisp, and then it just gets oily. It's interesting that. This is quite quirky in that sense, but I'll tell you something, in terms of the types of flavours and things that it has, it is very authentic this way. And you know, this is what you get from brewery to brewery. Mouthfeels are going to change, the exact way that certain flavours come out is always going to change. But I think in terms of the you know, the sort of authenticity of the beer, the flavour profile that they've got is pretty spot on. So thumbs up to Kvarnagårdens for this. This is a nice Pilsner beer, actually. Yeah, that is pretty damn spot on, actually. You know, as I said, if I was to blind taste that, I probably would think it was German, actually. I don't know if I would quite get that it was Czech, because I think normally the Czech ones can be a little bit more bready, but that kind of makes sense, actually, because I find Czech beer is a bit smoother than German beer. I think German beer tends to be quite crisp. So if I was blind, I think if I was blind trying this one, I would reckon it's German, because it's got the crispness at the front of the palate, and then it's a bit more oily, I think, towards the back of the palate. But I have to say, the thing I always rate Pilsners on is authenticity, and they've got that pretty much down in this. So you know, well done, Kvarnagårdens, because this is a difficult style to get right. I think I don't know if that's maybe one of the reasons why not so many brewers do lagers and things like that, because it's a style that needs a little bit more care, I think, than you can experiment a little bit more with ales, right enough, but I think with lager beers it is a little bit more kind of not so much technical, but it's a little bit more fiddly, to be honest with you. So you know, any brewery that tries a lager beer, a Pilsner beer, you have to give them your respect for that, because to get it right is quite difficult, but these guys have done a really damn good job of that. So you know, if you like your Pilsner beers, Redig Pilsner, this is a good one, actually. And this would be a very good gateway beer for folk that, you know, that are drinking the likes of Falcon and you know, all of these kind of things. You know, it's a very good. This would be a very good kind of gateway beer to get people drinking something that's a bit better as well, actually. But yeah, this is solid for me. So let's try and analyse the flavour of this a little bit more. So straight away with this one, you can feel that there is a nice little bit of that white bready kind of pale malty quality. That blankets the middle of your tongue, but as the flavour develops, you can really feel that kind of crispness from the Pilsner malt come out. As you go towards the back of the palate, it does get a little bit more kind of oily, and it's got a mix of a kind of biscuity kind of biscuity and bready sort of thing going on there. So you can really feel in the back third of your tongue, you can really feel a bit of that oily, bready, biscuity sort of thing. But as you move further forward into the middle third of your palate, that's where you're getting the kind of proper Pilsnery elements there. If you move out towards the edge of that middle third of your tongue, that's where the real kind of crispness of the beer comes out. And in the middle of the palate, it's actually got this quite oily, biscuity quality. It's like, you know, if you take a McVitie's Digestive and then you just suck on it, as strange as that sounds, if you just suck on it and it goes all soft, that's how the middle of your palate really feels, I think. With this beer, it's that lovely kind of almost like syrupy, biscuity type quality. Maybe in the very centre of your palate you can get a very slight caramel out of it, but I think it's more kind of grainy and biscuity. And you know, this is the kind of thing that you expect from a Pilsner beer. That's the type of flavour profile you expect. If you go to the front corners of your palate and then move in a little bit, you'll get one or two little kind of woody elements out of the beer. So yeah, that's an interesting point to make about this one. Yeah, I really like how all of this I like how this one all goes together. It's got a very nice as I say, it's very, very kind of authentic, and I like how that I do like how that kind of all goes together. So it's as I say, that's the main thing. This beer, the way that it's a little bit more oily than some of the Pilsners I've come across actually, but in terms of its, you know, the flavours that you get out of this, it's just spot on. Back corners of the palate, there is a little bit of that kind of earthiness that you expect from the Sats, the Hallertau's and the Tettnanger hops. So it's got all of that in there. As you come further forward along the sides of the palate there, you can feel it is a little bit herbal, almost just very slightly herbal for a wee bit, but then it becomes more floral and quite bright as you reach the front corners of the palate. Round the front curve of the tongue, it's definitely a little bit lighter and more grassy. And then behind the front curve of the palate, that's where you get that nice oily bubble where those juicy kind of fruity esters always come out of the beer. For me, this one, again, it's typical of what you expect of the Pilsner. It's got it's a kind of peary ester that comes out of this one, I think, maybe very slightly appley, but mainly sort of peary. And at the very kind of front edge of the tongue, you get the kind of, it's not even sharp enough, I think, to be lemon, but it's definitely got a little bit of that kind of citrusy, grassy, zesty quality to it, in my opinion. Yeah, definitely. It's got a little bit of that kind of grassy, zesty quality to it, which is really very, very nice. I do like how that all goes together. I mean, for me, this is a solid beer, and you know, it's very authentic. It really is. That's what you want from a Pilsner beer. You want it to be authentic. You want it to be crisp, drinkable, a little bit of sweetness in the malt base, but at the same time have a nice little bit of hoppy bitterness to kind of balance that out. And they've got this one pretty much bang on in my mind. So again, it's a difficult style to get right, so I take my hat off to Kvarnagårdens Bryggeri for this one. It's a good beer in this. If you like a lager beer, if you like a Pilsner beer, this is one that you are going to appreciate, I think. In terms of the mouthfeel, I'd say this one, I think this is it feels a little touch heavier than some of the other ones that I've had, but at the same time it feels a bit more like a German Pilsner rather than the Czech Pilsen, because it's a little bit more oily, but at the same time it does have the crispness, if that makes sense. It doesn't quite have the slightly, you know, the slight breadiness that I think the Czech ones normally have. You get a wee bit of that in the flavour right enough, but it doesn't have that it just doesn't feel like that, to put it bluntly. But yeah, this is one of the more oily Pilsners that I've had, so it's well balanced between being wet, oily and kind of crisp. It's an interesting mouthfeel you get out of this one, but with the Swedish water you always get this because it's very, very pure, and especially if they're saying that their water is being filtered through stones and stuff like that, you're going to get a lot of nice minerals and things like that. We get this with the Scottish water at home as well. Pardon me. But yeah, this one, in terms of its hoppy bitterness, I think we're just talking about 20 IBUs. It's not going to blow the head off you from that perspective. The malt base, as I say, it's quite crisp, but it's also got some nice kind of oily sweetness, and you've got a nice little bit of a fruity quality to this one as well. So yeah, I like how this beer goes together. It gets a big thumbs up for me. I'm a fan of the Pilsner style. And I think they've done a nice job of this. So yeah, big thumbs up to Kvarnagårdens Bryggeri for this one. I'll need to see what other beers they can do, but if they can do a Pilsner like this, I'd love to see how they would do like a Dunkel, a Doppelbock, or even a Schwarzbier. That would be really quite interesting. It'd be cool to see these guys continue on with the German series. They maybe have done these beers before. I'll need to look at that and see if there are any other ones that I can try, but I thought this sounded, I just fancied a Pilsner, and I saw this on the local Småland list, and I thought, right, let's have a go at this one. But yeah, lovely beer this, and I think they've done a great job of it, so big thumbs up to Kvarnagårdens Bryggeri for this one, and you will see me review more from this brewery at some point in the near future. But yeah, this was the Redig Pilsner, 5% ABV from Kvarnagårdens Bryggeri in Braås in Småland, over in the kind of southeast of Sweden. Thank you again for watching my reviews. Let me know your own thoughts on this one in the comment section, but let me know what your favourite beers are from Kvarnagårdens Bryggeri as well. Do give me some other brewery recommendations, because I know there's loads in Sweden that I probably haven't heard of yet, so do give me your brewery recommendations, and I will catch you guys very soon with another review. Slàinte, Scott, make sure you check out the Redig Pilsner from Kvarnagårdens Bryggeri in Braås, Småland.